The study of animal communication is a rapidly expanding field that spans such disciplines as animal behavior, sociology, neurology, and animal cognition. This communication, in essence, is the transmission of information from a sender animal or group thereof to a receiver animal or multiple such receivers. This communication impacts the receiver's present or future actions. Information sharing can either be intent, like in the courtship display, or inadvertent, such as scent exchange between predator and victim via pheromones. Significant breakthroughs are being achieved in understanding various elements of animal behavior like symbolic name use, expression of emotions, learning abilities, and mating behavior. A piece of transmitted information that alters the receiver's behavior is labeled a signal according to the signaling theory. For a signal to exist with a population, the interaction should usually be advantageous for both the sender and receiver. The synthesis of signals by senders and their subsequent perception and reactions by the receivers is considered to evolve together. Many animals comprehend communication through visual displays, for instance, distinctive body parts or bodily movements. In the herring gull example, the parent bird would display its bright yellow bill on the ground to signal that it brought food. The chick responds by tapping the red spot on the lower mandible of the parent bird, triggering it to regurgitate food, the parent bird's red spotted bill, and the chick's tapping movement exhibit a distinctive communication behavior. Research into primate communication has yielded fascinating results as well. Franz de Waal's study aimed to understand if language evolution has its roots in gestures by examining bonobos and chimpanzees. He discovered that both apes and humans only use intentional gestures for communication. Facial expressions also play a significant part in animal communication. Research on blue and yellow macaws demonstrated the birds blush frequently during mutual interactions with their caretakers. Similarly, mice were found to display 5 recognizable facial expressions when subjected to increasing pain levels. As per a study by Jeffrey Mogul, these studies reveal the complexity and depth involved in understanding animal communication. The crux of this narrative encompasses various forms of animal communication, specifically focusing on visual signals through color change, bioluminescent communication, and vocal cues. Split into 2 categories. Changes in color can be attributed to growth and development or influenced by drastic changes in mood, social surroundings, or abiotic stimuli, such as temperature shifts. These chromatic fluctuations are common across different species, particularly noticeable in cephalopods such as octopuses and cuttlefish, who harbor specialized skin cells known as chromatophores. These cells enable them to alter the color, opacity, and reflexivity of their skin, facilitating hunting, courting rituals, or creating deceptive displays to trick potential rivals. Furthermore, bioluminescent communication sheds light on animals' ability to generate light for various purposes. It is a common phenomenon among marine creatures, particularly those dwelling in deep waters, and is also witnessed among land-dwelling creatures such as fireflies and glowworms. Animals use bioluminescence to attract prey, partners, or as a defense mechanism against predators. Notably, it is either generated by the creature itself or through a symbiotic alliance with luminescent bacteria. Lastly, the narrative lays emphasis on the vital role of vocal communication in the animal kingdom. It is crucial for a variety of purposes such as mating rituals, warning calls, marking food territories, and social bonding. Species such as red deer, humpback whales, elephant seals, and songbirds are known to perform calls, usually by males, to attract mates or establish dominance. Conversely, certain species use distinct alarm calls to warn their comrades of specific predators, prompting varying reactions based on the predator type. This wide spectrum of communication methods sheds light on the complex and diverse natural world around us. The communication practices in the animal kingdom are intriguing and come in various forms, such as auditory and chemical signals. Rattlesnakes create a famous auditory warning by violently shaking their tails, while birds are known to engage in bill-clacking. Mannequins, on the other hand, resort to wing clapping for their courting displays. Gorillas express dominance and territoriality through persistent chest beating. Burrow-dwelling animals often employ whistling as a way of conveying threats and moods, typical within marmot species, such as the alpine marmot and groundhog. Prairie dogs are notable for having one of the animal kingdom's most intricate communication systems, using whistling to manage an array of communications about an impending threat, its speed, size, shape, and type. And more unique details for humans, the intensity of the audible signal usually assesses the level of danger. Chemical communication, although one of the most archaic forms, remains less understood due to the challenge of identifying and measuring all environmental chemicals. This form of communication has been crucial in the evolution of species' ability to detect food, distinguish resources, and discern kin from predators or competitors. For instance, a certain species of minnows survive by discerning predatory signals like chemicals associated with northern pikes, enabling them to hide before becoming visible to the threat. Among mammals, olfactory communication is particularly widespread in forms such as scent marking or rubbing. Bears, for example, mark their territory or signal to others to keep distance by rubbing their scent on surrounding objects. Touch is a fundamental element in countless social engagements, prominently in conflict, courtship, community integration, food finding, huddling behavior, and seismic communication. In conflict situations, the use of touch can range from being an aggressive challenge to an indication of submission. Courtship in mammals often begins with touch. Associated behaviors such as grooming, stroking, or rubbing, signaling the intention to mate and even aiding in coordination and physical stimulation during the act itself. In relation to social cohesion, touch is commonly employed, demonstrated particularly by the social grooming behaviors found among various animals. This activity not only cleans the animal being groomed, but reinforces social bonds and hierarchical structures, as well as provide an opportunity for the groomer to examine the olfactory signals of the grooming. Food exploration in certain ant societies requires touch for effective recruitment of workforce. Initial physical contact, often in the form of antenna or foreleg tapping, is the precursor to leading the recruits to the identified food source. While maintaining touch, a similar approach is used by patrollers to alert foragers of potential dangers, assisting in group coordination. Huddling or prolonged physical contact serves not merely as a source of warmth exchange, but could also enable the transfer of olfactory or tactile information. When organisms live in a constant state of contact within a colony, like with colonial corals, the entire colony can react swiftly to distress signals from a few individuals, increasing the overall likelihood of survival. Seismic communication, the use of self-produced vibrations transmitted through a medium, offers a practical communication method regardless of lighting or noise circumstances. Despite its typically short range and persistence, thereby reducing the risk of predator detection, this type of communication has been identified across numerous species, including frogs, kangaroo rats, bees, and nematode worms. These creatures often generate seismic waves by striking the ground with a body part. The resulting vibrations are then detected by the receiver's sacculus, an organ in the inner ear usually responsible for maintaining balance. Such vibrations can also be merged with other forms of communication for a more comprehensive transmission of information. The distinctive features of peat vipers, boas, and pythons include pit organs, with vipers sporting a single large pit organ on each side of their heads, between their eyes and nostrils. Alternatively, boas and pythons possess several smaller pit structures, however. The sensory capabilities of peat vipers' pit organs are more evolved, enabling them to perceive infrared signals via temperature changes. In contrast, vampire bats possess specialized infrared sensors in their nose, leaf, allowing them to locate warm-blooded prey within a radius of 10 to 15 km. The intriguing concept of autocommunication, in which an organism both transmits and receives information through emitted signals, is also present in the animal kingdom. The modified signal provides the animal with crucial information about locating food, identifying predators, or socializing with their species. Some aquatic species cleverly intercept these signals as an early warning sign. Two distinct types of autocommunication exist. Active electrolocation, practiced by electric fish like knifefishes and elephantfish, involves the organism releasing an electrical pulse to perceive the object's geometric properties. On the other hand, echolocation, which is utilized by bats and toothed whales, involves disseminating sounds and interpreting return vibrations. This advanced mechanism assists bats in memorizing the layout of their environment. Animal communication performs a variety of critical functions, with some aspects garnering more in-depth scientific study than others. Animals employ a variety of communication methods to convey different types of messages. For example, mating calls in mammals can signify a female's readiness to reproduce or serve as a beacon to attract potential mates. Territorial communication involves signals to stake a claim or defend an area, food sources, or a mate. Notably, Anolis carolinensis, a species of polygynous lizard, depict intensified aggression levels to maintain distances between males than females while safeguarding their territories or mates. This behavior replicates an evolutionary strategy to mitigate the higher reproductive risks males face. Furthermore, cases of redirected aggression are seen where fear provokes some creatures to lash out at anyone nearby. Food-related communication involves food calls to draw attention of a mate, offspring, or other group members towards a meal. Instances of these include the intricate waggle dance of honeybees and begging behaviors of altricial songbird offspring studied by Karl von Frisch. More so, pheromone releases by communal insects guide fellow members to food sources. Ants, for instance, leave a discernible pheromone trail that others can follow to the food. Another critical aspect of animal communication is alarm calls. These alerts notify other members, or sometimes even other species, to the presence of a predator, allowing them time to run for cover, freeze in place, or form a protective group. Meta communication modifies the meaning of following signals. Dogs, for instance, have a play face signal that changes the context of subsequent aggressive signals to playful ones rather than serious hostility. Interpreting these animal signals can be challenging, with the potential for misinterpretation. There's a risk of attributing human characteristics to these behaviors. An example of this misunderstanding can be seen with apes. A smile, which appears friendly in human terms, is actually an indication of aggression in an ape. Much of animal communication happens within the same species. However, communication between different species, particularly between predators and prey, is also fascinating. Prey animals inadvertently communicate with their predators through movement, noise, vibrations, or sense. This is coined as interceptive eavesdropping when a predator intercepts a message intended for fellow species. With these diverse behaviors and interpretations, it can be said that the animal kingdom is extraordinarily rich in complex and intriguing forms of communication. The central theme of this proposition is the exploration of predator-prey communication, focusing on signaling behaviors by which prey try to deter predators. In numerous species, this discourse ensues through behavioral modifications and vivid coloration. Some amphibians camouflage their skin with their environment, leaving their underbellies to starkly contrast and brightly colored. These colors reveal toxic elements when they are threatened. A common tactic from prey to predator communication has the prey indicating that the pursuit would be futile. Known as pursuit deterrent signals, they prevent a wasteful chase, saving resources for both parties involved, as the predator is unlikely to make a successful capture. Various animals, from fish to rodents to primates, exhibit this behavior, typically implying the prey's readiness to escape or their having sighted the predator. One such familiar visual exhibit of this is estotting or pronking by certain antelope species, presenting a distinctive stiff-legged run and simultaneous jump when a predator is spotted. Predation success is diminished whenever an antelope stots, thus shedding light on the key theory that stotting signals loss of intended surprise to predators. Nonetheless, non-visual methods of this quality advertisement abound, such as the banner-tailed kangaroo rat's complex foot drumming. These patterns seemingly signal an alert to offspring and concurrently convey to snakes via ground vibrations that the rate is too vigilant for a successful attack. On the flip side, predators typically endeavor to mitigate communication to their prey, boosting hunting efficiency. Some predator-prey communication sees predators altering prey behaviors to their advantage by way of deception. One example is the anglerfish, an ambushing predator conveyed as an irresistible lure to unsuspecting prey. Ant-mimicking jumping spiders similarly deceive their prey by feigning antennae movements with their front legs. This intriguing interplay within the realms of predator-prey dialogue provides a fascinating glimpse of adaptability and survival in the animal kingdom. Cian Senechal, a scientist, has been invested in researching and implementing a unique form of communication amongst animals, such as dogs and horses, since the late 90s. By employing an approach similar to the American Sign Language, Senechal has endeavored to teach these creatures a unique way of expressing their needs. His experiments are a testament to the evolution of human-animal communication. However, it's still unclear how this correlates with the animal's natural communication methods. one can perceive the significance of communication through the complex physiological features, behaviors, and structures that animals have fostered over time. Majestic structures such as the peacock's tail, a stag's antlers, or the frill-necked lizard's frill not only serve their function in nature, but also work as crucial communication tools. The red spot on a European herring gull's bill, whilst modest, serves a similar purpose. Animals have also developed complex behaviors for communication purposes. Examples include cranes dancing, cuttlefish changing their bodily patterns, and bowerbirds strategically gathering and arranging materials. Birdsong, for example, seems to have dedicated brain structures for its creation. All these acquisitions need to be explained in evolutionary terms. Konrad Lorenz and several other initial ethologists contributed to these evolutionary discussions. They elucidated how certain body actions and features with no communication intent could assume a communicative role through evolution and become more specialized. For instance, grass finches, as studied by Desmond Morris, were found to use their beak, wiping behavior for courtship signaling. Meanwhile, the evolution and development of altruistic behaviors that benefit the entire group have proven controversial. Early ethologists suggested that communication existed for the benefit of the entire species, but this might require a group selection. This process is argued to be mathematically impossible in sexually reproducing animals. Currently, acceptance of the idea of altruism towards unrelated groups within the animal kingdom is low. Any group benefiting behaviors are viewed as a result of individual selection pressures. The gene-centered viewpoint proposes that any behavior that helps a gene get better established would be positively selected, even if it was not beneficial to the individual or species. Runaway selection is one theory that seeks to explain the evolution of distinctive traits like a peacock's colorful tail. It insists that the existence and evolution of such traits are hinged on two critical features: the observable trait, in this instance, the vibrant tail, and an inherent inclination within the female of the species to select for this trait. The more opulent tails enjoy preference, and as a result, males bearing these traits enjoyed higher mating success. A positive feedback loop hence formed, fueling the evolutionary trajectory of their tails towards being increasingly larger and iridescent. Eventually, this trend reaches an equilibrium when the cost to the males of survival of having such a tail inhibits further elaboration. Two theories that could shed light on runaway selection are the good genes hypothesis, which suggests that a more conspicuous display reflects greater fitness and mate suitability, and the handicap hypothesis, which attributes the peacock's conspicuous tail as a handicap that requires substantial energy to maintain and hence is an honest indicator of the peacock's condition. More particularly, it posits that such signals would be costlier for less fit males to produce than their fitter counterparts due to their limited energy reserve. Animal communication, traditionally studied in terms of automatic responses to stimuli by ethologists and sociobiologists, occasionally hint at a deeper understanding in some instances. For instance, the distinct alarm calls made by vervet monkeys in response to different predators raised questions about cognitive ability and understanding. Was revealed this developed over time and was context dependent on individual experience. Another case of fascinating communication capability has been reported in bottlenose dolphins. They were able to recognize identity information from whistles independent of the caller's voice or location. Given the colossal cognitive abilities of dolphins, their vocal learning and copying skills, and their complex social structure, the use of such referential signals bears some resemblance to human name use and calls for further study. The reciprocity of communication between humans and animals is an intriguing subject. For instance, a cat, when it closes its eyes slowly, is signaling a certain level of affinity towards the observer. Humans often reciprocate this signal, fostering a peaceful cohabitation. Similarly, animals can understand human cues to a certain extent. Dogs, in particular, have shown a significant aptitude for interpreting human guidance, such as finger pointing or direction of gazes, to locate concealed food or toys. Intriguingly, dogs infer such cues differently compared to humans. For dogs, a finger point is an indication of place or direction rather than a command. Also, dogs demonstrate a unique left gaze bias towards humans, indicating their ability to read human emotions, a fascinating phenomenon that doesn't extend to other dogs. The 21st century has seen innovative approaches in animal communication with the implementation of functional communication training methodologies, initially designed for aiding children with autism develop language skills. Cian Seneschal at the Animal Science Center has begun to incorporate these techniques with animals like dogs and horses and has called this animal sign language. This method involves a combination of gestures, picture exchanges, tapping, and vocalizations, which have shown promising results and benefits for both animals and people alike. Contrastingly, the communicative systems of animals present an intriguing paradox to human languages, especially regarding their structure and usage. According to French linguist André Martinet, human languages exhibit a dual structure. Elaborate expressions can be divided into meaningful units and phonetic elements, however. Animal signals lack such complexity. Moreover, animal communications often serve as responses to external stimuli without the ability to depict past or future events. Events of relevance at a distance, such as locating food, are communicated through body language, calling into question if these utterances are purely instinctive or if conscious intent plays a role. In addition, animal communication systems generally lack the ability to generalize concepts, with possible exceptions in cetaceans and cetaceans in certain primates. The creative use of language to produce new messages is a key feature of human languages, largely influenced by our advanced cognitive abilities to conceptualize ideas and hypothesize structures. Animal communication systems don't typically display this quality, although interesting new discoveries are continuously being made, evidencing that this is an ongoing area of research. For instance, a 2009 study demonstrated that Campbell's monomonkeys seem to utilize affixation in their calls, leading to distinct meanings.